I swear that hazy smoke outside wasn't me. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. I want to thank Rory for putting these tremendous events together. Special shout out to my wife for coming tonight, who's 40 weeks pregnant. Kind of feel bad for her that she's sober and has to listen to me talk for 15 minutes. So give her a break. The title of my talk is The History of Cannabis from Biblical Times, Founding Fathers, and Modern Day. To start off, a little bit about myself. My name is Daniel Sachs, born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, attended Duquesne University, got my master's degree in biochemistry. I've now worked in cannabis for 5.5 years. So what I do is, I have nothing really to do with the growing side, I have more to do with the extraction/processing side. So what we do is we take the flower, make it into oil, and from there. What people think I do. So when I talk to people and they ask me what do I do for a living, and I tell them what I do for a living, I can just see in their face it's exactly what they're envisioning. But we do have a little bit of fun at work sometimes, but really this is a serious business. This is important work that we do. Patients that go to the dispensaries and meet with the pharmacist to review their medicine, and the pharmacist is going through the strains like green crack, Alaskan thunderfuck, and titty sprinkles. Nothing sounds more serious and legitimate than that. So this is what I actually do. This is me on a hard day's work, you know, dressed in all the garb, you know, trying to play the part, look serious. So this is where it all starts. It all starts in the grow room. We have about 35 grow rooms, starting from plants, little baby plants, to veg plants, to full flower plants. So what you see here is full flower plants, about ready for harvest, about a week away. So once it's harvested, if it's not slated for dry flower sales, it comes to me for extraction. Here's some pieces of equipment that we use for extraction. We have our hydrocarbon extraction machine, BHO. We use butane and propane. The cannabinoids present in the plant are carbon-based, so you got to use a carbon-based solvent to extract it. Rotary evaporator, and this here is our distillation machine. So what this does is it targets THC, many other cannabinoids as well, but specifically THC, 99% potency THC. So when I tell people this, they call me the Heisenberg of cannabis, because I'm making THC, 99% THC. My shit's not blue or white, my shit's gold. Right here. This is 99% potency THC. So this is very versatile. You can put it into cartridges, you can put it into edibles, lotions, sublingual drops, what have you. People have to, like I said, it's very versatile, and people enjoy that. A little nervous, not really. Anyway, another subcategory of oils that we make is what we call concentrates. Don't be fooled by the word; it does anything but help you concentrate. These are also very potent, but they also have terpene-rich profiles. I'll get into that in a little bit. But here's a few examples of different products that we make, different consistencies. It all depends on the strain that we extract, because all strains are a little bit different, and they give you a different consistency concentrate. RSO, Rick Simpson oil, very, very popular amongst the cannabis smokers. But I do not recommend, if you're a beginner in cannabis, I do not recommend using these. If you do, you should dose it lightly. Otherwise, you end up like this guy. All right, now to get into the science of cannabis. So cannabis has more than 100 cannabinoids, or cannabinoids, however you want to pronounce it. The most famous ones are THC and CBD. But like I said, there's hundreds of them. And we extract them all, we isolate them all. A few examples are CBN, CBG, CBC, THCV. They all have their own medicinal characteristics within them. And depending on the product, sometimes they're isolated, sometimes they're not, sometimes we mix them together. Another very crucial part of cannabis are terpenes. So terpenes are present in all living things, really. So all plants, flowers, fruits. They are responsible for the flavor, smell of these products. So, right, oranges and apples, they're really rich in terpenes with different profiles. The entourage effect, another very important part of cannabis. So like I said earlier, we can isolate all the different cannabinoids, but how you get the full medicinal feel and full medicinal benefit, thank you, full medicinal benefit of the plant is bringing them all together, and that's what we call the entourage effect. And terpenes are very crucial to that. They sort of fly under the radar compared to the cannabinoids, but like I said, crucial. They're also responsible for the famous indica sativa hybrid strains. So indica sativa hybrid. Sativa is uplifting, indica is more relaxing, hybrid is a mix between the two. Nowadays, really all strains are hybrids because that's basically a byproduct of mass cannabis. Used to be that in specific regions they grew, in the Middle East they grew more sativa strains because they like light, they're taller, they're lanky. In the more rainy regions were indica, smaller plants, more bushy. But now, because of all the crossing of the genetics and so forth, everything now is really a hybrid. Now getting to the title of my talk, the history of cannabis. Cannabis started from the dawn of man, just like psychedelics apparently. From the dawn of man. So the first known introduction of cannabis was by the Persians to the Assyrians, and this was from 1365 to 609 BC. It was primarily used in religious practices, it's the way to produce smoke, and the language, whatever language it was, I don't know, they called it Kanubu. They're obviously smoking a lot of stuff and they came up with that word Kanubu. But that's where the word cannabis comes from, Kanubu, cannabis, and sort of, whatever, stuff. Anyway, now into the Bible, the land of Canaan, which is now modern day Israel, Middle East. The first reference to cannabis is the story of Moses. God commanded Moses to build a tabernacle and to light incense on the tabernacle. Duh, to get closer to God. Cannabis. The second reference to cannabis is in the court of King Solomon. King Solomon built the first temple. The first temple and the second temple had someone called the high priest. Just like Moses was commanded, the high priest was responsible for many responsibilities daily in the temple. One of those was to light incenses in the morning and night. And just like Moses, those incense were sent to, bring him closer to God. So obviously, cannabis. So high priest, just a little quick term, in Hebrew, the high priest is the Kohen Gadol, which is the great priest. Doesn't translate to high priest. So I think the high priest is a little, an example of what's going on really in the temple. This picture is actually from, I think, 3,000 years ago. From the Holy of Holies in Yom Kippur. All right, now to America. Fast forwarding about 3,000 years from then, a few hundred years ago. America was actually founded on cannabis. Dr. Frank Burke, the president of the American Historical Reference Society, I don't know who that guy is, sounds like a legitimate source, so I used him, claims that 7 of the earliest presidents of the United States were hemp smokers. And the most notable was Thomas Jefferson, who has, quote, "Some of my finest hours have been spent on my back veranda smoking hemp and observing as far as my eye can see." We all have friends that have said the same thing. It is believed that not the actual Constitution itself, but the precursor notes were written on hemp paper. And at the beginning, rewind a little bit, all of the 7 presidents at the time, the first 7 presidents, they made their money in the hemp fields, growing hemp, selling it in shoes, fiber, paper. So actually the paper industry was getting really mad at the hemp growers because they were stealing their thunder, basically. So again, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, some people say it's written on hemp paper, some people say it's not, definitely was. Modern cannabis. So we have 44 states in the United States of America that have cannabis legalized in some sort of fashion, medicinally, recreationally. Only 6 states don't have it. So if if we didn't have enough excuses to stay out of the state of Nebraska, because it's so boring, we have another one added on to that. At least Wyoming's cool, they got national parks, but Nebraska, I don't know. So in 23 states, it's actually recreationally legal. And in Texas, you would think that Texas would be the last state to legalize, but they have low potency medical cannabis, meaning the THC potency has to be below a certain threshold for it to be sold. So that's pretty cool. So the federal government, the United States federal government, has cannabis as a Schedule I substance under the Controlled Substance Act. So that means cannabis is scheduled as the same as heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, etc., which is totally ridiculous. Washington, D.C. itself, the heart of the federal government, has a recreational weed. It takes 2 seconds to get your medical card from Washington, D.C., and it's recreational at the same time. So right there in the heart, it's just it's the opposite of what the federal government is telling us. The medicinal qualities of cannabis, there's many, here's a few. So again, according to the NIH is run by who? The federal government, right? The same federal government that says that cannabis is the same thing as cocaine and heroin is now telling us the good things about cannabis. So most notably, epilepsy, it helps tremendously. Cancer patients that are undergoing chemotherapy, it counteracts the nausea, promotes appetite, it's good for them. Inflammation, insomnia, glaucoma, anxiety. This is relatively new, this last one, preventing relapse in drug and alcohol addiction. So I would say the last year or two, I have a couple of friends that work in rehab facilities. They just started introducing cannabis. It used to be called the gateway drug, but now they're calling it the gate out drug. It's non-addictive. So people who are going through relapse episodes, they give them cannabis sort of to, I guess, calm them down, right? They're too lazy to go grab the drugs that they want or the alcohol. But I'm actually serious. So why is it essential to society, other than everything that I just said? So obviously the medicinal qualities, obviously there's the monetary benefits in cannabis. In 2021, it was a $28 billion business globally. In 2028, it's expected to be close to $200 billion worth in revenue in cannabis. So everybody smokes weed in the world. Right? 147 million people consume cannabis worldwide. Those are the ones that are signing up to sign the paper. Weed smokers are lazy. We're not signing up to sign papers, right? To say, hey, I smoke weed. We don't do that. So those are just the registered people. So you can double that number, most likely. 48 million Americans have said to consume cannabis in some form or fashion. Decreased crime rates. This is a really important one. In the states that are recreationally legal, more so than medical, but medical also, the per capita, their crime rates have decreased substantially compared to the states that are not legalizing cannabis. And within those states, prior to legalization, same thing. Crime rates went down. Again, the criminals smoking weed, too lazy to go rob a bank or do whatever they want to do. Recently, our